got some good ideas.
Sound like my.
Hi there, friends, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated right there next to me waving at you is the man who invented the dial tone, and his name is Mike Roth.
Yeah, well, you know, it was a little bit before my time, but I also invented a time machine. So I went back in time, and I just went up to people and went, nah, until it caught on.
I missed the dial tone.
Yeah, well.
Why don't you reinvent one for my cell phone? For my cellular device to have a dial tone.
That's not how time machines work.
Oh, boy. I'm too dumb to understand.
Yeah, well, physics.
This week, we have a few movies to talk about on the marquee. And the first one I have for you this week is a French film that goes by the name Raw, from director Julia Ducournau. It stars a young girl, her name is Justine there. Justine is a young vegetarian girl who is going to veterinary school in France. And in order to get into, this is an elite vet school. In order to get in, there's a lot of hazing going on. We've got to haze the freshmen coming in. So the hazing process forces her to be covered in animal blood, to eat raw rabbit kidneys, among other things. And for a vegetarian, this is tough for her.
Yeah.
And the eating of the raw rabbit kidneys and the blood and all this, she develops this rash, and it sets in course a carnivorous appetite in her, which suddenly she becomes ravenous for human flesh. At one point, she really gives into it. There's an accident with scissors, where she accidentally cuts off her sister's finger, and that's where she gives into it. As her sister is unconscious on the floor, she decides to eat the finger. And this movie it's grotesque, and it is brutal, and it is hard to watch at points because this movie got an NC-17 to begin with, and I don't know what they cut to get it under because it was hard to watch. There were moments where I'm looking through my fingers. And it plays on a lot of really cringe-worthy things. There's things like animal autopsies. Because you're in a vet school, there's a lot of images with animals and doing weird things to and with animals that it was a little hard to watch. Obviously, the cannibalism. Scenes like she is gagging up hair and she's just pulling wads of hair out of her mouth, which is kind of gross.
Like Ring style?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And part of her ravenous cannibal appetite is this hypersexuality. And it becomes really aggressive. And they say, that an animal that has tasted human flesh can no longer be safe. And so she has this other guy in here, her roommate Adrian, played by Rabah Knight Ofella, who understands what she's going through and is trying to help her. And this movie plays on a lot of things about the sexuality, and he's really great. He was in a movie last year, Nocturama, where he was awesome. And he's great in this as well. And this movie is really, I think it's a love it or hate it movie. I walked out and I really was struggling with how I thought of it, because it is hard and it's grotesque, but it's effective. It's really effective. It's a good horror movie. It's freaky. It's very French.
Curious.
Yeah.
Dumb question. It's all in French?
It's all
translated?
subtitled.
Okay.
Yep, it's all subtitled. The music sets this really eerie tone. The entire movie is really effective as a cannibal movie, outside of the style of, what's his name that does those terrible movies? Last year did the Green...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's foggy.
Yeah. But anyways, Eli Roth.
Yeah, thank you. last name and everything.
Your name and everything. But yeah, it's at times hard to watch, but I think that makes it very effective in what they're going for. And so it stuck with me. I don't think I'd ever watch it again, but I think if you are intrigued at all by it, I think it's worth checking out Raw, finding it and checking it out. So I give it 3 out of 5 stars. It's
pretty good.
Yeah.
And if it's pretty good, that means expect the American release sometime next year.
Exactly. Yeah. It might have been more, but there were probably 5 minutes in the movie where I was like this. Like, I'm just going to assume that something bad is happening. And we had a Joker in the back who snored loudly for 90 minutes. I think he got in not knowing he was subtitled and just said, screw it, I'm checking out.
Yeah, I find it really hard to fall asleep while I'm reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, you engage yourself.
Yeah, this guy was out.
Yeah.
Good time. What do you have on the marquee for us, sir?
Well, this would be the one that I think they were advertising the most, with A Circle, directed by James Polsalt? Whatever. Sorry. Emma Watson, she plays May, and she is kind of trying to break into the cyber industries pretty much. She gets this job at this place called The Circle, and it's, you got to picture something like Apple and Facebook all being together as one. Their huge thing is trying to integrate everybody's lives into a certain program where there is no, it's like social networking, but hyper-stimulated, where you don't have any secrets. You are, this is the...
Sharing is caring,
Sharing
Mike.
is caring. This is the next step they want their company to go into, is something called total transparency, where you will wake up and all day, and you will be recorded except for 3 minutes when you're going to the restroom. For some reason, that is the only taboo thing that you don't want everybody else to know, is that 3 minutes when you're in the bathroom. Emma Watson, she starts off kind of fresh, not quite used to it, but they convince her that secrets are like lies, and it feels so much better if you don't have to lie anymore. Also, on top of that, you're helping out the entire community because this is information, and information should be a world knowledge so that we could all learn and grow from each other. This is a really ham-fisted type movie where it seems like they were always swinging back and forth. There wasn't much ambiguity between feeling like this is wrong, which I think most audience members would say, yeah, this is something that it would make me feel very uncomfortable. But this movie goes to extreme of saying, yeah, we should force everybody to do this. We could integrate your voting and your driving and everything, and we'll be able to get rid of crime, kind of reminding me a little bit of what Minority Report was trying to do. And then on the other half, it was the obvious of, well, why would you really want one corporation to have all this information? Why would you want to be total transparent?
And it's kind of a little bit of a wink and a nod towards Facebook and how they store everything forever.
Yeah.
They have your life. They know more about you than you do.
Yeah, and it's they go back and forth trying to make you feel like, oh, this is an okay thing, but as an audience member, I never really thought it was an okay deal. We also have Tom Hanks, who is a phenomenal actor, and I thought he did well at acting, but his role in this was not what we wanted in this character, because it made the end, I'm not going to tell you the end, feel really short and not confusing, because everybody knew what was going to happen, but they never let on, because Tom Hanks is such a great guy.
And that's one of my issues with this movie is you have Tom Hanks, you have John Boyega, who is the legend who created True You, but he is kind of cynical about how the Circle is operating things, and he is supposed to be kind of almost the audience's conscience, where he's the one who's supposed to be like, yeah, this isn't right. I'm not cool with how they're doing these things. But he spends most of the movie just kind of standing in the back of an auditorium, backlit, just kind of standing there. You have John Boyega is a great actor. Really didn't give him much to do. No. Tom Hanks, his character, his screen time was limited. And
he was wrong for this role, too. I really thought so.
I liked that he was going against type.
Yeah.
And Patton Oswalt as his boss.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But the movie just seemed like they would introduce an idea and be like, okay, this might be interesting, and we're not going to flesh anything out and just kind of whatever. And then things started to get interesting towards the end. The end, there was a shift, and I was like, ooh. And then credits rolled, and I said, come on, we finally got something that is a little meaty, and you see people starting to squirm, and credits roll. I wanted to see where this was going, and we got nothing out of it. This is Bill Paxton's final movie. Yeah. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. He was in this movie as May's father with cerebral palsy. And
he did a great job. Actually, really, with all these actors, they had great actors. Yeah. But the characters themselves, it was pretty much the actors that were holding up this movie. And I think some of the cinematography was pretty good. And that's where it kind of fell flat. I don't think they got the right actors for their parts. Maybe Emma Watson as the Pollyanna, let's give this a try, the world's going to be a better place type person. That could fit her a little bit, but I like Tom Hanks a lot, and it's really hard for me to look at him as, and same thing with Patton Oswalt. Yeah. He is a super nice guy, and at the
But I kind of like that. I've always wanted to see Tom Hanks go full-on villain. I think that would be a phenomenal thing. This one, he straddles the line, and when you finally start to see something out of him that I was interested in, it's like, good, what are we going to do now? Oh, we're going to watch the credits. Awesome. You failed. It was a horribly edited movie to begin with. Like, they introduced this character, Mercer, played by Eller Colton. You know him from Boyhood. He was the kid who grew up in Boyhood.
Oh, fun.
As her friend Mercer, and things are brought up in this movie where I'm going, did I miss something? We're talking about him as though we all know this Mercer character, and then things happen to him, and I'm supposed to care, but I don't, because you really didn't do a good job. It felt like it was really edited roughly, and then I started reading about it, and they kept doing reshoots because audiences hated May, especially Emma Watson's character.
Oh, really?
And they're like, okay, we need to make her more likable. And so they did more reshoots on her. And the audience is like, no, she's even less likable. I don't like her in this role. And so I think that's a huge thing. I mean, if you're going to put this movie on her shoulders, and she's a very capable actress, but she didn't. They really did a poor job of utilizing the actors that they had.
I'll go back to the Mercer character also. That was another situation where I thought it was a little bit too heavy.
Right.
Everybody hated Mercer because he made chandeliers from antlers
it's so
that he found.
Vague of a reason.
He ended up getting people that actually
Instantly.
hated him. He went into hiding because he makes chandeliers from deer horns that he finds, and I couldn't figure out, with all the things that are going wrong in the world, why would everybody just decide to go after the guy who makes artwork out of
It's so stupid.
And the fact that he had to go into hiding, and then people were finding him like he was some kind of supervillain. It was weird, and I could not invest any emotional because everything that they were doing felt really absurd.
Didn't make any sense.
No.
I mean, if I'm going to watch a movie about somebody being followed around 24 hours, always being watched, I'll just watch Ed TV. I'll just go watch, what's his name? Matthew McConaughey and Ed TV. Better movie.
I like the idea. When the trailers came out, I really thought this was going to be a movie that was going to try to convince me, this Big Brother thing.
Be a little psychological thriller with this.
This was going to be something
Test your morals. It didn't test my morals at all.
No, the whole time I was thinking, well, this is kind of stupid. And even with their main premise of this person being total transparent, out of all the things in your life, I think going to the bathroom is something everybody does. Why is that the only 3 minutes?
They also introduced her friend, and her character didn't make sense either. Who got her in? None of it. It was a really poorly done movie with a lot of great actors.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate this was Bill Paxton's final film.
And I like Karen Gillan. I know her from Doctor Who, and she's a fine actress. But again, they made her character also an extreme that did not make much sense.
Her parents made a shift in the middle of the movie that I didn't quite understand either. But
well, yeah.
I mean, I just, it's neither here nor there. But what did you end up giving The Circle?
I give it a 1.5. My 1.5 generally is, I think the actors themselves made it somewhat engaging, and I think the cinematography was nice, but the story and the moral dilemma that they're trying to make me feel, it really fell flat. And
I agree. Actually, I gave it a 1.5 out of 5 as well. I just thought that they pretty much failed on most of their efforts with this amazing cast.
Yeah,
it felt like a B movie,
and it was sad because I was really looking forward to this.
Back-to-back Tom Hanks movies that I have given a 1.5 or lower.
That's not good.
Yikes! This and Inferno. Come on, Tom Hanks, step your game up.
But you know what? Tom Hanks, he can experiment a little bit.
He can.
He is
Go
a great
for it,
guy.
buddy.
And even though I didn't like him in this movie, I did like him.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah.
The next movie we have on the marquee is a movie I saw called Colossal from director Nacho Vigalondo. Stars Anne Hathaway as a girl named Gloria. Gloria is she's an alcoholic party girl. Living with her fiance, played by Dan Stevens. You know him as the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And he's had enough of her garbage and throws her out. And so you kind of know this story. She moves back home where she grew up, moves back into her parents' house, runs into an old friend of hers, played by Jason Sudeikis, a guy named Oscar. Oscar owns a bar in town, and here she is back for the first time in 25 years. Trying to put her life back together again. She starts working at the bar, which is probably a bad idea for an alcoholic. And things start to go wrong. She starts making bad choices. In the meantime, as you see in the trailer here, there's a monster who is randomly appearing in Seoul, South Korea at 8:05. And this monster is wrecking shop. And no one quite understands. It just randomly shows up. It randomly leaves. And after a while, she starts to figure out that she has a connection to this monster. And that she may or may not be responsible for this monster. And I'm trying not to give a ton away in this movie. The trailer itself gives some away. But she's because of this responsibility, she's faced with the fallout of real people dying in Seoul.
Yeah.
Because she is responsible for this monster. And it's kind of it's this great comedic, dark movie, and they do a great job of really playing on just playing on that whole trope of girl moves back home. You think it's going to be this movie, and it changes completely. And it's this great original storytelling with great homages to sci-fi movies of the past. Jason Sudeikis plays against type. He's normally the affable, likable guy, and he is for the first half of the movie. And he turns into a massive jerk. And you see that his jealousy over her being a successful person and her having something and her having something now that he is jealous of, he decides, fine, if you want to use this monster to be a hero, every hero is born out of a villain. I'll be your villain. And it's really interesting, and he plays against type so well. You hate this jerk. And she kind of gets her redemption. His jealousy drives him. It's a lot of fun. It's just a really fun movie. And it's kind of like an Unbreakable style origin story of a monster.
I actually really wanted to see this movie.
Yeah.
Both Raw, I've heard of Raw, but this movie.
Colossal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you have Anne Hathaway. She gives great reactions to throughout as she finds out what's going on to her, and the weight on her when she finds out the effects of the things that she's doing on real people on the other side of the globe.
There is a moral dilemma when you are killing thousands of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a movie that I was fully drawn into. I really enjoyed this movie. I recommend you go see this. So Colossal, I give 3.5 out of 5 stars. A lot of fun.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Please do.
That seems like the thing I'm saying every week. The movies that I
think
am
you
not
need to choose
seeing.
the good movies and not the bad movies. Let's move on to our next movie, though, sir. What do you have last on the marquee?
Have you ever wondered how to be a Latin lover?
No, I give lessons on that, sir.
You're Armenian.
Close enough.
All right. How to be a Latin lover, directed by Ken Morano. What we have is Maximo. He is. It starts off as a child, and he sees how hard his dad works. And his dad works so hard that he falls asleep in his truck and smashes right through the childhood home. That's when Maximo is like, you know what? I really don't need family. What I need is lots of money. He doesn't want to work like his dad did. He just wants to be a gigolo, find the perfect woman, and the perfect woman is loaded.
Old and rich.
Old and rich. And you actually believe he truly loves these people. It's not just for the money, but it's just for the money.
Right.
So he gets married, and 25 years later, his wife cheats on him with a younger man, and
Michael Cera, of all people.
Michael Cera. And he decides that, well, for one thing, he signed a prenup, and so he didn't have any money, and he has no job experience, and he's kind of a quirky fellow because the only thing he really knows how to do is seduce people. He moves in with his sister, and lo and behold, his nephew has a crush on a girl that's grandmother is worth more than his other wife. So the whole movie is pretty much trying to get his nephew to have the confidence and the skills to seduce this other 10-year-old to go to the birthday party so he could introduce himself to the grandmother. And all sorts of quirkiness evolves around that. His friend Rob Lowe, he gives them a couple of tips, since Rob Lowe is pretty much the same kind of person.
Same guy.
Same situation where he's trying to woo wealthy women. And, well, what did you think of it?
So this movie, the star Eugenio Derbez, this is his first crossover movie. Last year he had the biggest movie in the history of Spanish-speaking movies with Instructions Not Included, which is available on Netflix. And so this was supposed to be his big crossover into English-speaking movies. And it was a bit Spanish, a bit English, more English side.
I really think they did a good job with that.
Melding it.
Yeah.
And so I thought they did a great job of surrounding him with a great cast. I mean, his sister that he moves in with is played by Selma Hayek. You surround him with a lot of great comedic actors. Ken Marino this is his directorial debut, but he's a great comedic actor.
And McKenna Grace in there too.
McKenna Grace from Gifted, who we love.
Yeah.
You know, you have Raquel Welch as her grandmother. I haven't seen Raquel Welch on screen in forever. And you surround him with Kristen Bell. Rob Riggle and Rob Hubel as the two guys who are chasing after him. Rob Lowe, obviously.
Rob Corddry?
Rob Corddry is the bodyguard for Raquel Welch. And so I thought they did a good job of surrounding him with a cast that supported him but didn't outshine him. It kind of showcased his talents. And I kind of liked that the relationship between he and his nephew. He's trying to teach his nephew, here's how you woo women. Here's how you seduce a girl because I need you to get me in so I can meet Raquel Welch. There's a lot of fun things in here. There's a power walk foot chase. I haven't seen a power walk foot chase in forever as Rob Hubel and Rob Riggle are power walking after him. Weird Al Yankovic shows up as a special guest.
Yeah, he does birthday parties for 10-year-olds.
That was nice. I said out loud, Weird Al.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
I liked it. I think Eugenio has a really fun charisma. I believed he was this character. I liked his dynamic with he and Selma Hayek. This movie features 4 comedic actors named Rob. You have Rob Lowe, Rob Hubel, Rob Riggle, and Rob Corddry.
You're right. Yeah.
Rob Schneider's phone did not ring.
Well, it doesn't. He's brought it in many, many times, and it's just people aren't calling him.
Yeah. I liked when he realized when he'd been tossed out, Michael Cera came and stole his woman, that he wasn't the same young stud that we saw at the beginning of the movie. He was an older version, but he was undeterred and unabashed and was going after the brass ring. I thought it was a fun movie.
I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I think the main difference between us is the jokes fell really flat for me. I laughed, I think, twice. One with Kristen Bell, when she's this frozen yogurt person, and she has all these cats, and just nonchalantly, she's just like smiling and beaming about how she bleeds a lot because the cat.
The cats are always scratching her. You're a beautiful scratching post.
For some reason, that one made me laugh a lot. And there's a scene where Rob Lowe, he's taking horse steroids. His girlfriend or whatever wants him to kind of beefcake out, so he's taking, and he just can't stop hitting Maximo. And I thought that scene was
I love
funny, but
everything that Rob Hubel and Rob Riggle were in. I love that. Every time someone walked into their shop, he said, "Are you here for the motorcycle?" Because he's trying to sell this pocket rocket.
I thought that their body armor shirts were funny, but
I love those two guys so much.
I did not laugh. I was just the entire time I'm pretty stone-faced, just waiting for the
Mike,
funny.
just give it up, man. Just give up the laughs.
I just could not do it. I did really think that it was cool how they mixed the Spanish language with English language. Instead of just assuming everybody who speaks Spanish speaks English in their free time, it was kind of cool. Yeah, you have to read a little bit, but it didn't feel like they're forcing me to read or they're...
It felt authentic.
It felt authentic. It felt organic. I really liked how that procedure went, but that procedure is not what this movie is about. It's about making me laugh, and I didn't do that.
So what'd you end up giving How to Be a Latin Lover?
I gave it a 2-star. I needed to laugh, and I didn't do it.
See, I laughed.
Yeah.
I gave those laughs right up.
You weren't stingy with them.
Nah, he seduced me. I gave some laughs. So I was actually kind of straddling scores. I ended up giving it the lower of the 2 scores, but I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I had fun with it. I liked this cast. It was a big cast of characters. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Eugenio Derbez.
You know what? Maybe I was just grumpy when I saw it. I'm going to have to give it another
Revisit
try.
it.
Maybe I will laugh.
Now you've got a bunch of movies. Just keep putting them on your list.
I love The Wedding Ringer, and everybody else hated that. I laughed through that whole movie.
Yeah, you did.
I just got to give it a chance.
All right. Let's take a look back for our movie Throwback this week. And a movie that came out 20 years ago, starring another young man who is trying to woo a young girl. His grandfather tells him, just go sit on her lawn, buddy. I will teach you the ways to seduce this young woman. I will teach you the ways of the Italian lover. 8 Days a Week, starring Kerry Russell as Erica, Joshua Schaefer as Peter. Peter is a man who is in love with this is Felicity era Kerry Russell. America loved Kerry Russell at this point. She hadn't cut her hair off and betrayed everyone. And Peter is just infatuated with her. He's his high school crush. His grandfather tells him, go sit on her lawn for the entire summer if that's what it takes. Just break her down. Get her to finally come out and accept that you love her until she relents. His buddy Matt just wants him to give up on women and enjoy fruit.
Yeah. Just
enjoy the pleasures of fruit.
Who else is better than yourself? You just stay with yourself for a while.
Just focus on the fruit, buddy. One of the things that I really enjoy about this movie, look, this movie is, I don't think it's good. This movie is a huge guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell you what the bad points of this movie is, and really, you could look right at the acting. The acting was horrid.
That's why you've only ever heard of Kerry Russell in this movie.
Yeah, but the whole movie, it's endearing. You do feel like, oh, these characters, I definitely wouldn't show your children. Don't. No, but
one of the things I really like is as he studies the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Things that happen in the neighborhood, and why do they do this? And I have theories about why she does this and why she does that, and then start to kind of realize the truth behind it. I thought that was kind of an interesting look. Because we do all be like, my neighbor's got this weird quirk. He must just be crazy. Well, maybe there's a reason.
This is the first time I saw this movie, and it reminded me of The Burbs a lot, and that's like one of my favorites. Because that's one of the things that was so interesting about The Burbs. The interesting thing was that house, but it was a dynamic of the entire neighborhood watching each other and making stories about each other. Right. And I thought that is a really cool plot line. And this movie had it. He's looking in windows. He's getting to know people. He's guessing what his neighbors are doing. Some people are being making up stories about murder and stuff like that.
It's a hard movie to find, but I have fun with it. It's the one that I revisit every once in a while.
If someone has the time, definitely check it out.
8 days a week. Don't watch that Beatles documentary. We know enough about the Beatles. Watch this one.
When you said 8 days a week, you're like, we're going to do 8 days a week.
How does the Beatles tie in?
All right, well, I just watched Ringo again.
It's a good one. Let's take a look quickly at what is coming soon, the weekend of May 12th. We have 3 movies that will be on the screen that weekend. The first one is King Arthur, starring Charlie Hunnam as the titular character, King Arthur.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Next one we have is Lowriders. A young man in the barrio shares his father's love of lowriders, but his cousin, I believe, wants to lead him to a life of crime.
I assume that's going to be a limited release.
It is limited, it is. And last but not least, the movie that I am least looking forward to in the year of 2017, Snatched, starring Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn. This movie looks like, I'm going to hold myself, looks like a garbage fire to me. I have been going on and on Twitter about how little I want to see this movie because it looks so not funny.
It depends on how you feel about Stewart. You either think she's awesome
Amy
and you're
Schumer?
a huge fan, or Schumer, or you...
I'll save. We'll talk about that when the time comes. Before we leave, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring our show. Thank you for the beautiful Dream Loungers. Looking forward to going there to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, which will be our movie next week that we're talking about.
I'm going to be watching it tonight.
If you want to find more from us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Real Reviews TV. That's all.
Hey, may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. Until next week when we talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.